Welcome to the Great White Brotherhood YouTube channel.
Hello there, back with a new video from one of the lessons or questions and answers from the YouTube comments from working on the new book. Just come across a few that are pretty interesting. Um, Not that this topic hasn't been covered already somewhere in a book or a lesson or whatever, but I just, what I'm finding is that as I'm going through the book, the answers can be quite repetitive, of course, but the questions are always worded a little bit differently. So I think it's important to include all of the questions and all of the somewhat repetitive answers because you may read an answer and say, well, that doesn't apply to me because that's not my problem. But when you see somebody else's question that's sort of similar to yours and then see that the answer is basically the same as the answer to another question, then you start to realize that there's really, the same answer for multiple questions. So that's why you'll see in the book that there's a lot of repetitiveness in the answers. But anyway, I digress. But the book is going along well. Probably, I I think I've got about 100-ish, 100, a little over 100 pages left to go through. So should be able to get it out by the end of this month or the beginning of next month without too much of a problem. So this one I thought was interesting because it covers off quite a few things actually. Um, Now, I want to say another thing. This title you see here called Creating Reality, I'm just adding that title to these Q&As. But when you get the book, there's not going to be a title above every Q&A. It's just Q&A. I just put this title here just so that there's something to relate to when we go through a specific question and answer. This one has a question and answer, and then a follow-up question and a follow-up answer. All right. So this was related to one of the videos, of course. So I feel a contradiction here to the way I understand the independent realities video. In there, you talk about how our universe is constructed, designed especially for us individually and based on our expectations. In this video, you talk about that other beings do affect us as if a battle with the amount of energy going in and out of the planet caused by angelic forces or stopped by negative forces. So when you say war is a part of your life design, it isn't actually happening when you are not in it and see it so to say. There is no war, neither on earth nor in the heavens. Bob's reply. I'm not totally sure I follow your reasoning. The question was I don't know who this person was and I'm not judging them, but the question was a little bit difficult to follow. However, I will try to answer you as best as I can. According to the information I was given, we all live in totally separate universes. We live in our own sort of bubble of reality, if you will. We live in well, as a spirit, we certainly live in just a sphere of, or an orb, or whatever you want to call it, of energy. In this hologram, the experience I had was that it seemed like I was sort of in my own little theater, my own little, I don't know if all of you know about the IMAX theaters, but it's a theater that kind of wraps around you. That's sort of what it seemed like when I had an experience that I might be in this book actually. I don't remember. Or not in this book, sorry, the other book, the Mysteries of Life. I won't get into that right now. In the universe that any one person lives in, what that person experiences is, to a certain extent, created by that person's thoughts, their beliefs, also, if you wish. If that person thinks that wars exist, then wars will exist. If that person thinks that wars do not exist, then for that person, wars will not exist. I would say further, um, from what Bob said here, is that we all exist on this planet and there are wars or conflicts going on. But in certain parts of the world, they may have no idea that a war is going on. So the only thing I would probably add to this is that, or you may know the war is going on, but it's not happening where you live. So what I would add to this is that even on planet Earth, this can happen. You can, I think the Earth itself is multiple timelines all in one coexistence. We're all on, some people are in war, some people are not in war, some people are in paradise, some people are in hell. It's all over the map on this one particular place that we're all experiencing. Now, this is also affected by a subject that I mentioned at the end of the video, but that I have not yet made a video about, and that is parallel universes. That was sort of what I was talking, timelines. I only spoke about individual universes. Parallel universes are very important because if, for example, we choose to live in a universe where wars will exist, then that person jumps to or is born into a universe where wars will very much be a part of their reality. This is what is happening in the lives of people born in the Middle East, for example. However, if we really do not want to live in that sort of universe, then we can jump to a universe where wars do not exist. This is very difficult for anyone trapped in the holographic illusion to realize. So, again, I'm going to add on to this. And Bob's, I think, hinting at it, but maybe didn't want to go there. Is that even on the Earth, this is parallel universes or parallel timelines or whatever you want to call it. And when you're before you incarnate, when you're working with guides, angels, whatever, and you're looking at where to be born and in what time, even looking at, say, you want to live on a part of Earth that has no conflicts and never will, then that's the timeline, the parallel, the universe that you incarnating into. I think Bob's sort of saying that as well. The film Matrix explained this concept very well. All the time we think that this holographic world is real and is all that exists, we remain trapped in it and are subject to the vagaries of the destiny, excuse me, of the destiny that the hologram presents to us. However, if through meditation we can rise to a higher dimension, then we can affect our reality. If we live in a war zone but do meditation, then gradually events will be put in place that will take us out of that war zone. Hopefully, it would be difficult, but and this is difficult to accept, but I know it to be true. Whatever our situation, if we do not like it, through meditation we can change our reality by moving to parallel universes that correspond more to what we want. It is a question of rising to a higher dimension in our mind, not physically, okay? Like I said, even on this earth, you do meditation, you can quote unquote move to a new location that is like a different timeline and parallel universe and live in a different, totally different life. Now, you have to obviously take action to move physically from one location to another, but through meditation and kind of quote unquote rising to a higher dimension is what as Bob was putting in here, um, you create or you kick off a sequence of events that can help you through some action you may have to take to move to another location, quote unquote parallel universe, dimension, whatever you want to call it. um, I'll go on. Whatever our situation, if we do not like it, through meditation, we can change our reality by moving to parallel universes that can correspond more to what we want. It is a question of rising to a higher dimension in our mind, as I already mentioned, sorry, I'm repeating myself, so that our higher self can create for us the world that we want, rather than the world that is imposed on us by negative beings. This is perhaps the battle that you mentioned. If we are trapped in the 3D hologram, the battle is lost. If we can rise to a higher dimension, the battle can be won. So I think it's interesting to think about this whole higher dimension thing. I think it's basically in addition to a higher dimension that you can also call it a higher collective or a higher level of the collective consciousness, because I think the collective consciousness is all one, and it's basically like layers, or not even layers, but it's just basically like, as you can, through meditation or service to others or whatever you do, can raise your consciousness, you just move up or across or wherever, it doesn't matter, up, down, sideways, front, backwards, into a different part of the collective consciousness. And as you do that, you create through your individual reality, your individual universe, you create a different universe around you, or a different reality that could include on the earth moving to a different place. Or, you know, what would even be better is if you did meditation. A lot of people are now had similar thoughts. Sequence of events would create the events that would create a peaceful place around you, and you don't even have to move. That would be the best, but most times people have to move to find a better place, because there's just too much collective consciousness there that wants to fight and battle and divide and conquer and all that stuff. So that was Bob's reply, which I thought was excellent. And if you think about adding in this whole dimensional thing, you can call it consciousness, you can call it collective consciousness. Um, but I think what else is also interesting, if you want to sort of do a mind play, is think of the earth itself as multiple universes in one location, multiple timelines, parallel realities right here on earth. Just look at the next town, look at your neighbor. They may be living a completely different life to you, even though you co-create in that same space, but their life may be completely different to yours. All right, so there was a follow-up question from this person. Thanks for your explanation. I meant the battle of the negative forces in the heavens that tried to prevent energy from rising back to the universe. I somehow understand that of believing in a better place and out of war zone contemplation, but as you mentioned about the forces who don't want us to raise energy. If this is how I perceive your explanation, then there must be a collective 3D hologram. Oh, absolutely. So many all over the planet live in the same universe. You can co-create with that others and create a similar universe, but you yourself live in your own little bubble of reality. Live in the same universe that doesn't exist. Why would forces not want energy to rise from the planet if all is God and the God energy is in all? Who are the designers of my personal universe? Interesting questions. I don't know if Bob answered them all here, but that's okay. The problem is that this is Bob replying back. The problem is that this concept of individual realities is difficult to wrap one's mind around. You are the designer of your individual universe. To try to understand the concept of collective universes, I have been recently using the example of a car. I will repeat it here. And I would say that when you read this, you could also apply that to every cell of your body. So it's a lot easier for people to look at a car and say, okay, I understand this example Bob's using because that car's not me. And it makes sense, right? You're not the car. You completely can identify yourself as different and separate from that car. But if you look at yourself in the same way as what is about to be said here, um, it's the same thing. It's just that it's a lot more difficult for us to see our body as separate from us, meaning the person who's looking through your eyes, sort of thing. Look at it this way. Everything is made of atoms. Imagine people to be atoms. So Bob's saying it too, but now imagine a car. It is made of countless individual atoms, but together they make a car. They all come together to make this car. Although each atom is individual, When the car moves, they all move. They act as one object. Some atoms play a more active role than others. The atoms that come together to make the engine, the steering, the brakes play a more active role than those that just create the bodywork, for example. Now, in the case of us humans, collectively, we act as if we were a car. We are all one. But individually, you play the role of being more active in your reality than others. You play the role of the engine or whatever. Other people play the role of just being the bodywork or the bumper, fender, or whatever. And you could extend this endlessly to the galaxy, to God. We're all parts that make up the totality of God, if you wish. So that example is really good. I think it's been put somewhere else as well, but I think in the context, when you see the actual question and then you get the answer, I hope this helps a lot more when you start to look yourself. I mean, think of a raindrop. Raindrop hits the ocean, no more raindrop. It's all just the ocean, right? So that's kind of what Bob's trying to say here is that God is everything. But individually, there's people, plants, blades of grass, trees, insects, stars, rocks, but when you step back and you look at God, you just see God. If you move in closer, you see the atoms of a car, but it all moves together. It is all one. Now, the negative destructive forces. This is also very important. You will have noticed that once something is made, it immediately starts to decay. This is the way life is made, and this negative aspect is absolutely necessary to the concept of keeping life in balance. Okay, so the so-called negative or destructive forces have to be in existence, certainly in our world here on the earth, in order to keep things in balance. You will also have noticed that it takes a lot more energy to construct something than it does to destroy something. But nevertheless, the destructive forces are essential to all life, clearing up the trash of dead objects and so on. And just look at anything in life. You could look at, a fly. Is it part of the destructive force or the creative force? Is it negative, positive? It's the manifestation of that energy in order to keep life in balance. That's just one example. There's tons, right? Obviously. While we leave nature to do its thing, all goes well. But the problem is that humans can jump on the bandwagon of destruction and actively create evil. They too form collective consciousness and try actively to destroy for the pleasure of destroying. We call these people terrorists, black magicians, psychopaths, and so on. Behind them is the concept of trying to keep the planet in balance, but they take it a step too far. I don't feel that I've explained this well. I think Bob explained it very well. He may not have answered all the questions, but he did a good job, in my opinion. But I've made some videos where I discuss it, meaning all this other stuff. So hopefully you understand what this message is about, and hope you enjoyed it. I think it's an important one to understand that everything exists for a reason, even if we don't like it. I don't like many things, but I understand why it's here. We all live in a collective. We create individually and we co create. So it all has to be accepted that it is the way it is for a reason, and we are here. We choose to be here, and we chose mainly what we wanted to do while we are here. But as this says right here, we have also the choice to change it through our actions and thoughts. If we just want to battle others to fight back for our rights and freedoms, okay, go ahead. Nothing, no, you have that right. If you want to uh, pray and meditate and help others, that's your choice as well. It's all your choice. You can decide how you want to play this simulation. Okay, so I'll stop here. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them in the comments. or send me an email. I know there's been a couple of topics that have been brought up, at least two, and I'm sure there's more. And I definitely want to get to them. I remember them being asked. I can't, unfortunately, at this point, remember what was being asked. However, as soon as I release this book, please ask the questions again. Because once I release this book, publish it on the website, I'm basically done. I have some other things in mind that I'd like to do, but they can all wait for sure. I'm not in any hurry. I just want to get this out, and then it's done as far as I'm concerned at this point of putting everything out that Bob ever created while he was incarnate. Sorry. So, doesn't mean that if you find a message that you got from Bob, you forgot all about it, you stumble upon it, and you're like, this is amazing, please share it with me. I'll be happy to share it with others. So don't worry about that. I'm not saying that this is it, no more. I never put another thing out from Bob. No, that's not true. I'm more than happy to. It's just that as far as I can tell right now, this is basically everything's that I've collected and others have sent to me, that this is going to be it. So, and then the next steps will be taken. So once the book is published, again, please send me your questions. They've just fallen through, pushed back to the back of as everything keeps piling on top. So, and I will more than happy to answer those questions in a follow-up video once the book is released. Okay, I just want to focus on getting that out. I just take a break every now and then to do something like this video, just to do something different than going through the book. All right, so if you have any questions, please send them to me, and I hope you enjoyed this message and video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for watching this video. Please visit our website at thegreatwhitebrotherhood.org for free books and lessons to help you on your spiritual journey.